Good evening, live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. Here we present to you tonight's news bulletin. But first, the headlines. The Omani ports handled more than 93 million tons of general cargo this year, and the trade balance records a surplus of 877 million Omani riyals by the end of last January. A number of economic experts and specialists confirmed that the continuous improvement of Oman's credit rating results from measures to control spending, reduce public debt, and improve financial indicators. And the Israeli occupation continues its airstrike on areas in the Gaza Strip, while the United Nations confirms that the humanitarian situation in the Strip remains dire and in need of further assistance. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. The Omani ports achieved an increase in the volume of handling general liquid and bulk cargo by 1.5%, witnessing handling of more than 93 million tons during the past year. Omani ports, represented by ports of Sultan Qaboos, Salalah, Sohar, Khasab, Shinas, and Suwaiq, witnessed an increase in the number of berthed ships during the past year, receiving more than 1,100 ships, with an increase of 4.3%. On the tourism front, ports of Sultan Qaboos, Salalah, and Khasab witnessed an increase by 190% in the number of passengers after the arrival of 229 cruise ships carrying around 600,000 passengers. Reflecting the role played by the ports in maintaining the smooth flow of goods and diversifying sources of income, several projects were completed in some ports during the past year, including proposing the project of Fadhalkut Fishery Port for investments, proposing the mining dock project in the Manji area for investments, continuing the expansions of facilities and infrastructure development at Salalah Port, issuing 4 tenders to provide some maritime services at Sultan Qaboos Port, and signing an agreement for the management and operation of Shinas Port. Sultanate of Oman trade balance recorded a surplus of 877 million Omani riyals by the end of January of the current year. Statistics from the National Center for Statistics and Information indicate that the value of commodity exports by the end of last January exceeded 2.3 billion Omani riyals, recording an increase of 16.7%, while the value of commodity imports of the Sultanate of Oman amounted to over 1,425 million Omani riyals, increasing by 10.6%. The increase in the value of exports is mainly attributed to the rise in Oman's exports of oil and gas, reaching 1,450 million Omani riyals by the end of January of the current year. An analysis of the activities of the traditional commercial banks during the period January 2023-January 2024 indicated continued credit growth in the Sultanate of Oman, as the total credit balance granted by banks recorded an increase of 1.8%. As for credit granted to the private sector, it increased by 2.6% to reach 20.1 billion Omani riyals by the end of January 2024. Regarding the investments item, it witnessed the total investments of commercial banks' conventional securities increased by 28.1% to reach about 5.7 billion Omani riyals by the end of January 2024. Within this item, investments in government development bonds recorded a decrease of 15% compared to the same period last year, reaching 1.8 billion Omani riyals. As for the investments in foreign securities, there has been an increase at a rate of 156.3%, reaching 2.4 billion Omani riyals by the end of January 2024. International news. Gaza's Ministry of Health said yesterday that the ongoing Israeli attacks had killed 33,634 Palestinians in Gaza, where a refugee camp in the enclave's central part has been stricken repeatedly by Israeli forces who claimed their offensiveness were to fight Hamas. The Palestinian death toll was released along with the injury figure of 76,214, and the Health Ministry also reported that over the past 24 hours, Israeli military operations had caused 86 deaths and 120 injuries in the Strait. Early today, at least 8 rockets were fired from Gaza into Israel's southern city of Sderot, where some of the rockets were interjected and no injuries or casualties have been reported so far. Israeli aircraft continues its aerial aggression against villages and towns in southern Lebanon. The Lebanese National News Agency reported that the Israeli aircraft carried out airstrikes on Alma al-Shab, Ter Harfa and Al-Jibain in the western sector. The Israeli occupation forces launched an airstrike on the area between Taibeh and Deir Syrian and carried out a targeted aerial aggression in the town of Aita al-Shab in the districts of Bint Jubail, firing the 3 air-to-ground missiles at the targeted area. Residential neighborhoods in the town of Hula were also subjected to artillery shelling, with shells targeting Al-Ma'aqib and Al-Alman neighborhoods in the town. Senior and aid officials from the United Nations said yesterday that the number of trucks carrying aid into Gaza was lower than what Israel had claimed. Under heavy U.S. pressure, Israel has promised to ramp up aid to Gaza dramatically, saying that last week it would open another cargo crossing and surge more trucks than ever before into the besieged enclave. It says that since Sunday, it has transported an average of 400 trucks a day into Gaza, and that aid is now piling up on the Palestinian side of the Karim Shalom crossing, one of 2 major crossings into the territory. Mark Godric, the United Nations humanitarian coordinator overseeing crisis relief in Gaza, said the aid convoys need security and that they face long delays before the latest Israel-Hamas war. Some 500 trucks carrying food, fuel and other supplies entered Gaza daily. Ireland is close to formally recognizing a Palestinian state and would like to do so in concert with Spain and other like-minded countries, new Prime Minister Simon Harris said yesterday after meeting his Spanish counterpart. Spain and Ireland, long champions of Palestinian rights, last month announced alongside Malta and Slovenia that they would jointly work toward the recognition of a Palestinian state. The efforts come as a mounting death toll in Gaza from Israel's offensive to root out Hamas prompts calls globally for a ceasefire and lasting solutions for peace in the region. Speaking after meeting with Sanchez, the first premier to visit Dublin since Harris became prime minister this week, Harris said that their assessment showed that point is coming much closer and we would like to move together in doing so. Israel has told the 4 European Union countries that committed to moving towards Palestinian recognition that their initiative would amount to a prize for terrorism that would reduce the chances of negotiated resolutions to the generations-old conflict. Gunmen killed 11 people in southwest Pakistan, with police searching for suspected militants after migrant laborers were signed out for execution. Police said 6 gunmen stopped a bus near the city of Noishiki in Balochistan province and checked people's ID cards, abducting 9 workers from the eastern region of Punjab. They said that the workers' bodies were later found 2 kilometers from the highway. They were added that the same attackers later fired a car belonging to a provincial parliamentarian, killing 2 people. In celebration of Eid al-Fitr, the Bahla Equestrian Association organized a traditional horse arda at the Bahla Equestrian Field. The event was presided over by Honorable Sheikh Dr. Hilal bin Ali bin Zahir Al-Hinai, the Vice Chairperson of the State Council. More details coming up in this report.
Eid al-Fitr celebrations were marked with grandeur at the Bahla Equestrian Field, where the Bahla Equestrian Association hosted the traditional horse arda, drawing spectators from all over to witness a spectacular fusion of cultural pride and festive spirit. The horsemen performed the humble and muharib horse riding arts while showcasing their skillful mastery and displaying a complex series of maneuvers that demonstrated the deep connection with their horses. Complementing the dynamic equestrian show, traditional Omani singing arts echoed through the field, adding a melodic layer to the spectacle. It was not only a thrilling exhibition of harmony and heritage, but also a blend of ancient melodies with the rhythmic gallop of horses that captivated the audience, as traditional horse arda is a cherished part of the Eid festivities that offers an impressive glimpse into the storied past of Oman. From the Wilaya of Bahla, Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi, Al-Dakhiliya, Governorate.
This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Omani ports handled more than 93 million tons of general cargo last year, and the trade balance records a surplus of 877 million Omani riyals by the end of last January. A number of economic experts and specialists confirmed that the continuous improvement of Oman's credit rating results from measures to control spending, reduce public debt, and improve financial indicators. And the Israeli occupation continues its airstrikes on the areas in the Gaza Strip, while the United Nations confirms that the humanitarian situation in the Strip remains dire and in need of further assistance. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin, brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. From the entire news team here, we hope all you have enjoyed Eid holidays and back to work tomorrow. Thank you for joining us, and good night.